somebody who's not a teacher, for people who aren't teachers, who aren't educators, could you give us a little bit of a window into why that profession is more difficult than many people may realize?
So over the years, in 2015, the teachers' retirement system changed, and we saw a lot of people leave the profession.
Okay.
And at that point, the profession had changed, and society evolves. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same as it was 15 or 20 years ago. So we're not any different. And we have seen there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of legislation, and I'm sure that you've heard people say that, I have to teach to the test and I don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
Okay? Because testing became a big thing. That is not meant to be a negative. Testing is to hold some accountability, to hope that our students achieve. It's a way to measure something. But if you have been a 32-year teacher at that point and you weren't used to those kinds of parameters, it was different.
Right.
And so there are a number of things that continue to change. Certainly we know that there's a number of legislation items that are on the news daily that impact educators. And so the environment just continues to change. And I don't think that's different than anywhere else. I don't know that that's different than working at McDonald's. I mean, life changes.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about some of the resources that are available at the Trumbull ESC for current and existing teachers?
So the ESC, I talked already a little bit about our special ed provisions. We also have a full curriculum and instruction department, and they do professional development with teachers. And so the individuals in that department, they work with teachers to help them enhance their teaching skills. We are always bringing in speakers, experts in the field to help them improve their methodology. And some of that is emotional. We have a speaker coming in this fall that's going to do some workshops with teachers about social emotional learning. We have to accommodate all facets of the child. And children are facing, as part of society, they're facing all kinds of issues that they might not have faced 40 years ago or 50 years ago, and teachers are having to adjust to that as well. So our curriculum instruction department really works very hard to do that professional development. They also keep teachers kind of up to date when new legislation comes along and they need to be trained to meet certain criteria. Because there are a lot of requirements for teachers to be trained in a number of areas.
Could you talk a little bit about, obviously we know that a shortage of teachers is bad. Could you maybe just, fill in the gaps there of how that impacts the students and, our communities?
Well, certainly you can't have teachers or students in a classroom if you don't have a teacher.
Well,
So what are you going to do? I mean,
Right.
we have had that conversation in our office. What if we don't have a teacher? What are we going to do? I don't know what we're going to do. Okay, well, I know that we're not going to have kids sit there without an adult in the room.
Right.
So, but any time that there is not, a trained teacher in that subject area in front of students, there certainly is a disruption in service. And there is also like a little bit of a little bit of maybe a lack of learning because you don't have the qualified teacher in there. So, we're all kind of plugging away as best we can. There is a substitute teacher shortage as well, and that is a situation. And again, everything is as individual as a person. Some substitute teachers, you might be lucky that you have a substitute teacher who has a background in math, and that teacher's coming in for the day to teach all the high school math classes. Well, there might not be too much disruption. On the other hand, you might have a substitute teacher who has a bachelor's degree in general studies coming in. And that person might be a great substitute too, but probably doesn't know how to teach calculus, for example.
Sure.
So it's all very individual, and there's no doubt, though, that there are disruptions when you don't have qualified individuals, in your buildings.
So I guess, what does it look like just in the near term? Are we going to be dealing with this for the next 2 or 3, 5 years? And I guess, what do we need to do to fix it?
Yes, I think we will be dealing with that. And I do not know the enrollment numbers at the colleges.
Sure.
And certainly, they could have They could have 75 people enroll as freshmen, and the next year it might be 85 or it might be 65,
Yeah.
But so that could change. In terms of fixing it, I read some things this morning. President Biden is looking at having some conversations about this, and they're looking at job boards and like Indeed and what are some of the other, like Indeed, Monster.com. Some of these, they're setting up special job boards for teachers, etc. We've been using job boards like that are special for education at the ESC for many years. And they've been successful to some degree. So the recruitment is a part of that. But if there is not a trained individual to recruit, I don't know that that is going to be the answer. I certainly don't want to say it's not helpful, because it is, to be able to have avenues to reach, but we need the people in the pipeline to do that.
You need a bigger pool.
Yes. So, I mean, there's some program discussion out there about how to grow your own teachers and to maybe begin to interest students at a younger age. I've read about certain types of apprenticeship programs, and all of this stuff is in preliminary stages and looking to kind of, get their feet off the ground, so to speak. But, I think the bottom line is that we have to have more people become interested in the profession. Not quite sure how we do about that. I think certainly respecting teachers and respecting educators is one good way to begin that. And, that respect takes all kinds of forms. How we treat them, how parents view them, how they're talked about. And our educators also have to behave in a manner that garners that respect,
Yeah. I was going to say that, if you have kids out there, be nice to your kids' teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, if everyone, I do think this, if everyone talks down the profession for whatever reason that might be, I don't want to work with kids are different, it doesn't pay enough, whatever it is, when you continue to talk down the profession, then we have a problem. And I think that's part of where we are.
717 Credit Union. Business services designed to meet your daily needs. Commercial loans, business deposits, merchant and payroll services. 717 Credit Union. It's knowing you were treated right every time.